You are listening to Imperfect Fifth, a podcast, offbeat conversations with music industry humans that we love. Today's episode is brought to you by Easy Visibility. Let Aaron Zimmerman be your visibility guide and visual storyteller, currently serving entrepreneurs globally. And by Double Take Productions. We have no tagline, we're just twins who have been taking photos, shooting and editing film, event planning, and more together since 2010. Be sure to nab your Rainbow Kitten Surprise hoodie or crop sweatshirt in our shop. Check out imperfectfifth.com/merch to see all of our current merchandise options, including small batch handmade earrings. Today, we sit down with Daniel Levi Goans. He is one half of the folk duo Lowland Hum, comprised of both he and his wife, Lauren Plank Goans. We had the unique pleasure of catching up with him in a rare quiet moment in the lead-up to the release of their new album, Glyphonic. Check it out.
Totally. So I'm Daniel Goans, and my wife and I are the band Lowland Hum. We are both from North Carolina, and we both grew up in Greensboro, North Carolina. Some of Lauren's childhood was out in Idaho, and I think that imagery kind of shows up in her imagination. And for me, I've kind of been touring a lot of my adult life, and so I think there's a kind of familiarity with a lot of different places as I sort of passed through all these different places. So in school, Lauren studied visual art and I studied English literature. So we co-write all of our songs together, and I think those elements kind of blended together show up in the way that we create together. And I'm trying to think of other fun facts.
Wow, you're getting deep though, right off the bat.
Yeah. You know,
already.
Yeah, I just woke up, so my filter's not exactly intact, which is a good thing for something.
Oh my gosh, no, those are amazing facts. And actually, then I'm going to bounce to a completely separate question than where I thought I was going right now, at least, because you did mention that you've toured for most of your adult life, and you are known for touring a good majority of the year. So what do you find to be so compelling about live performance that keeps drawing you back to it?
That's a great question. I think for me, what's so amazing, people often ask us, whether we get tired of playing the songs most days of the year. And we don't. And I think this is also what's so exciting about touring. Every single night is totally different. And it's like we do bring some of the same elements to each show, the songs ourselves, sometimes some of the same stories in between songs, but it's kind of more like we bring some little part of ourselves into a room where other people have brought, themselves, and all of that mixes together to create a kind of once in a lifetime, one time only collaborative experience. And I think because the way that the audiences create different kinds of spaces, just by being there, different things are possible each day. So it really, each show really feels pretty singular. And I think that's what's so compelling about live music. And I think that's why, even with all the ways that you can find entertainment that's exactly what you want, streaming and all that stuff, like, I don't think it'll ever replace live music, because something intangible and uncontrollable occurs when people are in the room together.
I completely agree, and couldn't have said it more poetically. So thank you for that.
Yeah. Tell me, Meredith, where are we talking to you? Where are you right now?
Yeah, I'm actually in Kansas City, Missouri, so just a straight shot north from you right now.
Oh, I love Kansas City.
You do? Good.
Yeah, it's awesome. Yeah, it's a great place.
Yeah, we're growing our music a little bit here, but I have lived on both coasts, so it was a good place to start with all my contacts. But I love being in Kansas City writing international stuff now. It kind of seems crazy at this point.
Yeah. Wow, that is wonderful.
So I guess, I mean, just to stay on track with asking questions about touring, I did want to know, with as much as you've traveled, I'm sure you've found some fun little places to eat and adventure on your travels. So I just didn't know if there were any highlights that you keep going back to or places you like to recommend to people.
Yes. Okay. Two come to mind immediately. Outside of Philadelphia, in a town called Devon, Pennsylvania, there's a garden called Chanticleer, and it is absolutely spectacular. And there's like a small admission to get in, but it is like about the best money you could spend. Basically, there are all these different kinds of spaces in there that are curated. And the plants, so it's not like a very orderly garden. It's kind of like things are growing in beautiful, kind of messy, but still organized arrangements. And they have commissioned artists to build furniture that would sort of blend in with the scene of the plants. Like, just one example is like, they have this kind of whole area that looks like a stone ruin, and there are just succulents everywhere, all over everything. And then there are different places to sit and different kind of like reflection pools throughout it. And you kind of just pay money and then you wander through this like kind of like imagination dreamscape. It's unbelievable. So every time we play Philly, we try to leave a day off around that area and we try to go down there, and it's really restorative. Because we're in Austin today, I'll mention this. There's this taco truck, and it's across the street from this place called the Electric Church. And I've never been to the Electric Church. It's supposedly an awesome music venue, but that's not where we were playing. But we just know about this taco truck, and it is just spectacular. And I don't even know the name of it. But our friend who lives here, he has tried all the taco trucks, and he used to live in Mexico. He just tries like any new one he sees, he tries it, and he's always trying to find the closest thing to a street taco from his days when he lived in Mexico, and he said this is the one. So those are two that came right to mind. Kansas City, actually, I often mention to people, you know that museum with the huge badminton ball?
Nelson Atkins.
Yeah, Nelson Atkins. So we usually try to go to Nelson Atkins when we're in Kansas City and just take a stroll through there. Yeah, it's an amazing museum. That whole part of town is just incredible to walk around.
I live close to there, so I am very familiar with all of that, and I love when people remember things from Kansas City, because it is very rare. So thank you for that.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I've sat out there on that big lawn multiple times, just sitting in the sun. A lot of times, I mean, touring is actually mostly driving. So when like just sitting outside in a beautiful place is really kind of like oftentimes what we crave. So we've started bringing beach chairs on the road and just sitting in different places.
That's so fun.
Yeah, it's been really good. But that was one of my favorite kind of like outdoor experiences on the last tour we did at the end of, or let's see, I guess it was earlier in 2018.
Wow. That's awesome. And I do have to, I always forget when people come here, they're always asking me what to do, and I give them food places first. I always forget, like, okay, I have these great places in my backyard, essentially.
What are your favorite food spots in Kansas City?
Oh, well, so all the barbecue, by the way, I know it's like this big war all the time, but my family doesn't even really we're not gravitating toward the big ones. So I know Kansas City Joe's is really, really good. I love going and getting it, but when there's no wait, which is almost never. And then Q39 is also on my street, and that's like a more upscale, and it's very, very good barbecue. But their big thing is they have some of the best cocktails I've probably ever had in my life. Just super dangerous because it's like 2 blocks from my apartment. But my family, there's this little place, this little barbecue joint up close to the airport, and we like to go up there called smoked box, and not a lot of people have heard of it, but I mean, my dad's convinced that's the best barbecue, so we go there. And then, of course, there's Stroud's for any fried chicken. And then Cafe Gratitude, if you're vegan, that's like the big spot in town for that. So.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, I like to try it all. I definitely am a Midwesterner. I definitely eat meat.
Yeah, we do too. I think it's when you're on tour, that's also something. It's helpful to be flexible with diet because there's just different options, different places. So.
Right. Have you like discovered a new type of food on your travels that you hadn't had before?
Yeah, we try anything that people are really into. I'm trying to think. Well, this is kind of interesting. Last time we were in Austin, somebody took us to this restaurant, which is also kind of a butcher shop, and we had bulletproof coffee made with beef tallow and cayenne pepper and cinnamon. And I was kind of like, I don't really want meat coffee, but
yeah,
it was actually totally incredible and really. It didn't taste like it tasted a little bit savory, but it wasn't really like there wasn't really any meat flavor. It was more like really smooth and it was super surprising how much I enjoyed that actually.
Wow. I mean, like I've heard of people going overboard, like trying to put bacon and everything, but I've never heard of anything like that.
Totally.
Oh my gosh, that's awesome. All right, so now that we've talked a little bit about traveling, I did want to backtrack because I do want to know, origins-wise, what was the first song or album that you remember ever hearing? And does that work of art have any bearing on how you approach your music today?
Yeah, I was thinking about this question. You know, I think the first thing I heard was MC Hammer, Can't Touch This. I think that might be the first song I ever heard. And as a kid, I would like beatbox and like dance to that song in my room as like a 5-year-old kid. And I do think that the way that we arrange music, everything is about rhythms and sort of where things fall in our arrangements. And because our band is just the two of us, there's not a lot going on. So if things aren't kind of related to each other rhythmically in the way that we intend, the songs really don't work very well. So it's funny, I produce other bands when we're not on tour, and when I talk to them about their rehearsal times, generally people don't rehearse as much as we do, and I think that's partially because we just need more practice. And Lauren is an incredible singer. She's very precise. And I sing because I write songs, so I've had to work a lot more at being precise with tone and pitch and stuff like that. Whereas Lauren has been singing, her background was from a singing perspective, she was in chorus, and so she's always kind of like been much more precise and kind of like she really nails the things that she's intending to sing, and I was kind of more like in the Dylan camp, kind of just throwing my voice toward the melody. But because of the way that we arrange the music and it being really intricate, I think the rhythmic sides of it are very influenced by the early days of kind of dancing in my room. My sister's a great dancer, and as kids we just danced like in an insane amount. My mom was actually an aerobics instructor.
Oh my gosh, that's so great.
So like she'd be like, turn to the left, like in her like jazzercise kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And so I think like being surrounded by all this stuff that was rhythm and movement, and I really do think that influences our music. But I think if you hear our music, that would definitely not be something you necessarily think. But it really is arranged that way. It's like it's got to be locked in. So I don't know. That's what came to mind.
That is so amazing. And now we have all the mental images of you dancing too.
I was a performer as a kid. I would probably show anybody that was willing to pay attention that I could do some version of like different Michael Jackson moves, and not great, but Relatively cute at the time.
Right, but you were trying, and that's what matters.
Yeah, that's right. And it prepared me for performance in my adult life, so that's good.
Exactly what you love doing. Oh my gosh.
True. True.
Um, well, and in February, you released your song, A Drive Through the Countryside, which is so beautiful.
Oh,
And I was just wondering what inspired that song specifically.
yeah. So Lauren, we wrote that song based on a poem that Lauren had written. We live out in the country, kind of outside of Charlottesville, Virginia, and the countryside surrounding Charlottesville and in a lot of Virginia and North Carolina too, is just spectacularly beautiful. And these rolling green hills that kind of progress up toward the mountains. The Blue Ridge Mountains are surrounding that area, and Shenandoah National Park. And Lauren was driving through kind of all these farms and the rolling hills and really just blown away by the beauty of it all, but also aware of the fact that the reason a lot of these areas look the way that they do is directly connected to the problematic history and to the fact that these places were plantations and this land was developed and cared for by people who were forced to do so against their will and not paid. And so she was having this kind of weird experience of being truly moved and almost like calmed and I don't know, like it was almost meditatively beautiful and disturbing to her at the same time. So she wrote this poem and then kind of she shared it with me, and then we're talking about it, and I had been working on that guitar part, and then we kind of started working on exploring those themes in sonic form, and so that's kind of where the song comes from. And I was very impressed with her poem because it's hard to capture both the beauty and the kind of sinister, disturbing nature of really of the history of our country. But we're thinking of specific areas in Virginia as well.
It also makes me wonder, do you have like a favorite song that you like to perform or a favorite song that you like to listen to when you need a pick-me-up that of your own catalog?
I think generally our favorite songs to perform are the newer ones because they feel closer to where we currently are as people.
Yeah.
And I think right now for me, my favorite is this new song. It's on our new record, which is coming out in about a month and a half now. It comes out May 10th. But this new song is called Waite, Waite, and it's named after this painter that we met in England, and he's a landscape painter named Andy Waite. And we had this really amazing experience with him, and basically he emailed us and said that he listens to us sometimes when he's painting, and we were so honored by that. And he asked us if we were ever playing near where he lives, if we could come perform at his studio. So we had a chance to do that, and it was this kind of like really sort of like transcendent experience where we were playing in this room for people that buy Andy's paintings, surrounded by his paintings. And it was such an inspiring time that I don't know. I played this thing on the guitar that I actually didn't know how to play at the time. It kind of just came out of me. And to prepare to record it and to finish writing it, I actually had to like listen to this voice memo from when we were there for like an hour and a half to try to figure out like how do I even play that? Like I don't know what I played. It's just like I was caught up in the moment. So it's really mysterious. It was a very mysterious song, but I think because of all that connection to that story and that experience, I really, every night it's been really special. I kind of close my eyes and kind of fall into that guitar part, and that song. So it's like traveling playing that song.
Oh my gosh, that's so beautiful. Well then, and yes, my next question, of course, you keep beating me to the punch. The next question, I was wondering, with the album coming out soon, was the production process any different this time around, or do you find that you have kind of a pretty similar process as you did back in 2013 when you guys started?
No, I think it's changed a ton. And I think this new record was the most fun to make out of anything that we've made. And I think the constant touring has this interesting effect where we feel that our ideas seem to be closer to the surface. So when we have an idea, we're able to articulate it closer to when the idea is formed. I don't know if that makes sense, but it used to take us a while to figure out how to explain it to each other.
Yeah.
And it still takes some time to translate it, but I think because of all the work together on stage, it felt really like very natural on this record. Generally, I mean, collaboration, there's always some tension and some compromise because it's not exactly what either person would do by themselves. So there's tension built into that, and we've learned we've learned over the course of being married for 7 years and also collaborating on music for 8 years or 8.5 years, that tension is actually a beautiful opportunity to kind of lean into what's possible in the context of human connection and collaboration. But it's not necessarily always pleasant. But on this record, we had a lot of fun exploring together, and I think the process is also really different because I've been doing music a long time, but Lauren was not doing music when I met her, and she's just gotten more and more comfortable in the recording settings, and now she was engineering tons of this record while I would be recording stuff, and then I would jump up and I would sit in the engineer's chair, and then she would go in and she'd be doing stuff, and so it felt very much, each record's been sort of like more and more collaborative, and this was by far the most of any of our records. And we did it not in a traditional studio but in our apartment so that we wouldn't be on a clock, so we wouldn't be kind of like paying by the day and kind of feeling like we got to go, like we need to nail this right now. It was a longer process, which I think led to more freedom in the exploration and in the sounds.
That is so great to have that set up as convenient as you do. Like, good job.
Yeah. Yeah, we are so thankful for that.
Yeah. And it also, I mean, and you kind of touched on how you guys clearly over the last 7 years especially have spent all this time together, both, being married couple and then doing this art together. And so I'm not going to lie, I've been running a business with my sister for a few years, and sometimes we butt heads. So yeah. I just didn't know if there's anything you guys do to just like reconnect, if there's too much of that tension that you spoke of or too much of anything going on. Like, it's incredible to me that you're still doing this together, and not that like most people can't. It's just that we're all so stubborn. So
it's true. That's very true. And I think, we found a couple different things that are really helpful. It's interesting. One thing, there was never any stigma in my family about counseling. Mm-hmm. So I never had a negative association with going to counseling or sort of seeking help with certain unhealthy patterns that you have, or some kind of dealing with any traumas from when you're young or from when you're older. I don't know. It's like I never had any stigma attached to that. So I think counseling is a really beautiful and helpful tool, kind of involving somebody who's basically an expert in sort of processing things healthily. So that's one thing. The other thing that's a much more regular part of our life is going for walks. When you start to walk, it's like I've learned recently that it actually helps to draw connections between your right and left brain. So you have very different kinds of conversations when you're walking than when you're sitting or working on something together at a coffee shop or whatever. It's extremely different for the brain. And I've noticed that, like, if we take a walk and kind of revisit a problem that was really sort of complex or tense, it's often very, very different when we're walking. It's like the things moving past you and changing what ideas come to you. I don't know. There seems to be something that opens you up more on a walk. Yeah, and I think also um, being married and also being in a family with somebody, it's helpful to know that it's like it's forever, you know? Like
Right.
it's like we will be family like no matter what, really. I think that's a helpful kind of like space in which to collaborate because it allows you to stay in that tension longer than you might if it was just a friend. Like if it's a friend, you might be like, "Hey, you know, this is kind of getting intense. Like let's just not do
Right.
this." And then, but with a family member or a partner, you're kind of like, "Hey, this is really intense, but like we love each other. Let's lean in and see what we can find." And I think our moments of our moments of most intense closeness really are on the other side of these tense moments where we really appreciate the person sticking with us through whatever discomfort there was. And I guess knowing that those breakthroughs are kind of a real kind of glue in a relationship, for me, that has been hugely helpful to discover that in our first few years of collaboration, and then to kind of go back to that in moments where I'm like, man, this is like, you know, this is a tough moment or whatever. To remember, like, but remember what happens after a tough moment, and it's like, yeah, okay, I can hang in there. So I
Right.
don't know if that makes sense or not, but that's kind of those are some things that I think have helped us.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, well, and I do know you two created the Support Quiet Music movement.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so I thought that was really interesting when I looked into it and everything, and I just didn't know if you wanted to touch on that a little bit for our audience.
Yeah, sure. I think the main idea that we were just talking about how like the kind of music we make and lots of our friends make, it requires a different kind of attention and a different kind of space. And I think, you know, most places that you go, and a lot of spaces in the music context, there's lots of room for kind of loud, exciting. You know, it makes it sound like we make boring quiet stuff, but that's not
Not at
the
all.
idea. The idea is more like I would hate for a lot of what I've heard being made in this quiet music space to be drowned out, and for there not to be spaces for this music to be made because the culture is so fast moving and because it is such a noisy moment generally. I have friends who what they do, it really wouldn't work in most contexts where music is played. Like for instance, most festivals, um, the bands that are playing at most festivals exist in kind of the louder space, and so audiences that find out about new bands from festivals would miss out on the chance to hear the kind of music that would require a kind of a different environment. Or even a lot of like clubs that we play, you notice like, oh, this club is designed for the kind of music that can be heard over bar noise and all these other things.
All
And we
right.
started realizing like if, you know, it's really an idea that already exists, and there really are lots of communities that already support quiet music, but by formalizing it, we realized it was helping us think of new ways that we could do that, new kind of creative. I mean, there's a lot of space in which music that has a lot of hype to it can find traction, but more and more we just kind of are dreaming of what if there was a support quiet music, you know, like stage at a festival, or you know, what if there was a support quiet music event where all the music was the kind of music where you have to really lean in
Right.
to really get what's going on. And um, we love loud music, and actually I think a lot of what we think about is dynamics within music. So music that maybe it does get up to a 10, but maybe it's also at a 2 at a different moment. And as human beings, we really need music that hits all along the spectrum, because within a day, even for me, I'm all over the map in terms of what would resonate with me in different moments of the day. Um, and so I think we just started thinking, oh, I would hate if there wasn't music for, more facets of the human experience. And we do make quiet music also, but I think we would have kind of launched this campaign even if we were in a louder band, just because we know so many people making music that I really want it to keep being made, and I really want there to be spaces for it. So Lauren actually would answer that much more succinctly and beautifully because he thought more about it in a way. I'm just a bit more long-winded than she is, which we're a good combination. But yeah, I hope that makes sense.
Absolutely. Besides all of this, which sounds like a million things on your plate, especially since you're in Austin currently, I didn't know if there's anything else that you'd like to talk about, or any wisdom you'd like to glean onto our audience before we hang up here.
I think just this new record, we are just so excited about sharing these new songs. And this tour, we do have a stop in, I think we are doing a kind of house show in Kansas City that somebody's putting together.
Okay.
And yeah, maybe just I'd love for people to check if we're coming near them, and if they're interested in anything they're hearing here, or if any of your audience might want to come out to a show, that'd be awesome. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. Yeah, I think that's it. Just come check us out on tour and give a listen to these new songs. I think we really poured ourselves into this record in a way that we always do that, but I think we have more to pour, if that makes sense. So it feels like there's more of us in this one somehow.
That's wonderful. Yes, and dear audience, please do go see them live. These guys know how to appreciate things, and you guys are, my big thing in music is finding good lyricists, and I think I've found that in you guys, and I really appreciate it and can't wait to hear the new music.
Oh, thank you so much. And thank you so much for having me on the show today.